Hello. You cannot know and talk about non-duality and the experience of non-duality without also talking about the ego and the authentic. And I know it's very controversial because a lot of the non-duality talks go straight to the non-duality, to the being. I think it's very important to, as you probably know if you follow me on the channel, it's very important to talk about the ego and the authentic as well. And the reason for that is that you cannot talk about non-duality without talking about dependent coexisting or dependent co-arising. And let me explain what it is. The understanding of non-duality, and when I say understanding, I don't mean the intellectual understanding. I mean the knowing understanding, where you understand it with your entire being. So the knowing understanding of non-duality happens through the ego and then the authentic. And that is the dependent co-arising, that something happens that leads to something else, that leads to something else. That's also why that if you follow other teachers or speakers of non-duality, that all of them started out as seekers, because they started seeking and that led to something that led to something. And that's also why that when you ask them, none of them can say that it was one single thing that did it. It was not one single experience or one single teaching or one single meditation that did it, because it's not how it works. It's not how it works. It works through dependent co-arising or dependent coexisting. And that dependent co-arising happens through the ego into the authentic and into non-duality. And it's a bit like when we talk about ice, that ice is there because of it's water that is ice because of temperature. So through a dependent co-arising, if you change the temperature, the ice goes from ice to water. The only thing that has changed was the temperature. And if you keep changing the temperature, change nothing but that, only change the temperature, the water will go into steam. So nothing has changed except the temperature. The water is still the same. So that is an example of the dependent co-arising or the dependent coexisting, that ice only exists when the temperature is there as it is. Steam only exists when the temperature is as it is for steam to exist. And that is so the water itself hasn't changed at all. That's just the factors around it that has changed. And it's the same with the ego, that there's nothing bad with the ego. A lot of the questions that I get in the comment section, I can really recommend you to read the comment section, because there's so many amazing observations going on there. I really, really love the comment section. But what I read a lot with a lot of the questions in the comment section is that the ego is kind of viewed as something bad or something to get away from and something not wanting to be. But the thing is, you are. I mean, the way that the illusion perceives itself through the ego, it is very much with not this but that. You know, I don't want this, I want that instead. And that is the ego. So it's a bit like you can see it like the ego person in you, in the illusion, believe itself to be unique, believe itself to be something special. But it's a bit like a wave in the ocean, that the wave in the ocean might go like, "Ooh, I'm so unique, ooh, I'm so special." But very soon it's going to realize that it is a part of the ocean. There's nothing unique about it at all. And that is a bit like the ego and the authentic, that when the wave is there and thinking, "Ooh, I'm so unique," then it's going to be part of the ocean, and that is the authentic, where you realize that you're part of something bigger. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was going for a walk by the river. I live by River Severn in the UK. And the River Severn, we even identify it with saying River Severn. It's a bit like, we identify with a lot of things in our lives. our name, our gender, our education, our financial status. So we believe ourselves to be like the river, but the river Severn is only the river Severn given the geography of where the river Severn is, because the river Severn flows into the Bristol Channel, and then it flows into the Atlantic Ocean. So it's like the ego is like the river Severn going like, "Ooh, look, I'm the river Severn." Where no, you're not. You're part of the Bristol Channel and you're part of the Atlantic Ocean. You're part of something much, much bigger than what the ego is letting you to believing to be. So the ego thinks that you're super, super important. The authentic then knows that you're not more important than anybody else. Everybody are equally important. And the non-self, that's where the non-duality happens. The non-self is knowing that there's no difference between you and everybody else. And that process needs to happen for you to realize. So for example, when I'm telling you that there's no difference between you and anyone else, a lot of you are going to sit and think, "Oh yeah, that's actually right, it's right." But if I say to you, "You are Putin," you are the little Putler running around over there, invading countries, then a lot of people are going to go, "No, I'm not like that. Yeah, I know we are all part of the same fabric, and we're all, wave, and then we're part of the ocean. Yeah, I know that, and clouds and all that. Yeah, I know that." But as soon as you are told that you're actually Putler, then the majority of people go like, no, now it's not fun anymore. I don't want to be part of that. I'm not part of that. But if I tell you that you're also part of Dalai Lama, then you go, "Oh yeah, I'm part of Dalai Lama. I am Dalai Lama. Actually, I feel how I am." So it's like, it's so funny because it's a great example of how complicated non-duality and how complicated the non-self in understanding and knowing understanding really, really is. Because we keep clinging to something we don't want to be and clinging to something we want to be and refuse or show ill will towards something that we don't want to be. But the truth is there's no difference between the Putin, Dalai Lama, you and me. We're all the same. We're all the same waves in the same ocean. And I like to use the example of Putin, of Putla, and Dalai Lama, because it's a very good example of the ego and the authentic. It's a very good example of the yin and yang that needs to exist. Both of them need to be there to emphasize what they actually are. But if you look in the illusion of it, then there's no difference between Putla and Dalai Lama. Both are going to get old, both are going to get sick, and both are going to die. Makes no difference whatsoever. One of them is in a very contracting energy, very me. The other one is a very expanding energy, very much looking at us. How can I serve? How can I help? There's no difference. No difference whatsoever. Both get sick, get old, and die. And it's the same with you and I. If you remove all the judging of Putla and of Dalai Lama, do you see that it's the same? Do you see that you and I are the same? We're I am you and you and I, we're part of the same fabric. And if you can't see it, and if you still feel the resistance, then it's completely fine. Just sit down in silence, in solitude. I'm a very firm believer in silence and solitude. So sit down and just reflect on it. If you remove all the judging that you have towards Putla and Dalai Lama and you and me and the decisions you make in your life and all that, if you remove all judging of it and you just are, do you see that it's exactly the same? And it's exactly the same, both in the illusion and in reality, in the non-duality, in the knowing of the non-self. And it might help you to have, hold it to each side, so you find out that, oh yeah, by me acknowledging that I am Putla, I can actually go through, I can recognize myself obviously I'm not invading that many countries in comparison, but I can recognize being fearful and being judgmental and being cruel. I can recognize that in myself, and that is where we are identical. I can also recognize other sides in myself where I'm altruistic and I'm compassionate and I'm full of loving kindness. And by doing that, you're becoming aware of the dependent co-arising and the dependent coexisting. That you need to go through that, through the acknowledgement, accepting, and understanding. And that's why I keep talking about unconditional acceptance to what is. That whenever you do something in your life that you really, really don't want, then accept that you just did it. You don't need to approve it. You don't need to condone it. But you can acknowledge that it happened, and then you can use it as a teaching method for you to be with the part of you that did something unskillful. And by being with the unskillful part of you, you will discover what is the skillful part of you. And through understanding what the skillful part of you will start to dissolve. The you will dissolve. The one that perceives itself as someone who exists as you, it will dissolve. And you will start to understand that there is no you, there is no me, there's no Putla, there's no Dalai Lama. It just is, you know. It's what I talked about in another video about the void, that everything is present, there's nothing missing, everything is there. So, yeah, let me just check my notes if I remember to say anything I want. I think that was everything I wanted to say. So, oh yeah, the last thing I want to say, if you made it this far, if you judge anyone for anything that they say, for example, I've just called you Putla, right? If you judge me for that, then you are part of the contracting energy. If you can be in a space where someone can call you Putla or say that you're ugly or say that you're stupid or say anything, and you can just hold space knowing that whatever they say, it's not about you. They're talking in their bubble of reality. They're talking about in their contracting energy, saying something about something they have no idea about. Then you are in the expanding energy, you know? I'm going to make another video where I talk about the bubble of reality. I actually think that when I'm going to do the first monthly Zoom Q&A, what I'm going to start to talk about is the bubble of reality. Yeah, I'm going to do that because it's something where we can go into a conversation about it, how you view other people through your own lenses, because the eyes sit in your head, and you view other people and think of other people based on what you think about yourself within your reality, because remember, none of it is real. Yeah, that was it. That was what I wanted to talk about regarding dependent coexisting and dependent co-arising.